If you're struggling with anxiety and you feel like your family doesn't get it, they don't understand, well, then you really need to watch this. So you may be struggling with anxiety, you may be getting panic attacks, maybe getting these intrusive thoughts, and you're trying to connect with your family, you're really trying to explain to them what's happening, and your family may have your best interest at heart, but they don't really get it, they don't understand it, and they are trying to be an empathetic ear, but they just don't relate. And then over time, you may notice that they start telling you to get over it. They may start getting frustrated. They may start being like, listen, I don't want to keep hearing this. Stop telling me about this. And it can sound very insensitive. This is your family. You want people who are supporting you, and they do support you. And when they don't react this way, it feels like you're not getting the support that you need, that you're being misunderstood, that you're not being heard. I had the exact same thing. Look, my family is the most supportive, and in fact, I would credit a lot of my recovery to them. But there were times they just didn't understand. They didn't get it. And so you may be wanting to explain this to your family, how you're struggling with anxiety, why certain things are so difficult for you. And you may feel like them not understanding is somehow, insensitive to you or lack empathy. But you need to realize this one thing. Most people won't be able to understand something if they haven't experienced it themselves. So if somebody hasn't experienced what you're going through, just because they don't relate doesn't mean they're bad people. It's just they're unable to relate. Imagine other people with other problems. Now imagine them telling you about that. Now if you've never had that issue, well, it's not that you don't care, it's just that you don't relate. And what happens with family members is they're trying to be supportive. They're trying to make sure you're comfortable and getting better. But to a certain degree, they don't really know what's happening. So what do? How do you enforce it on your parents or your spouse or your brother or your sister or your friends? Well, this may sound a little bit counterintuitive to what society tells you, but I just say there's no need to try to explain to someone something that they don't understand. Now, that sounds kind of callous and that feels like, well, then who am I supposed to talk to? Well, what I would recommend is find somebody who's gone through this, who has come out of it. Now, that's probably the hardest part. The truth is you're probably talking to your family because they're the closest people to you. They're the only people where you can really rely on who have your best interest. But the issue is the same, right? They just don't know what you're going through, and they will always have your best interest at heart. But if they haven't gone through this and came out, it's really hard for them to know what to do or how to guide you through that process. So I recommend finding somebody who's overcome anxiety, who's overcome panic attacks, who, helps whoever that is, whether that's someone in your community, whether that's a therapist, whether that's, mentorship or a coach or something like that to guide you through the process. And your family will support you as long as they see you getting better. To learn more, follow this page.